It's a bittersweet moment because we're back with our last announced superhero deep dive for Marvel's Midnight Suns. As always, thanks to Marvel and 2K for working with me on this series. It's been an absolute pleasure. We've got something special brewing for this deep dive. We're planning on blowing you away. It's going to be a shocking affair. Get it? The storm puns? Yeah, you get it. Everyone, welcome to the superhero deep dive on Aurora Monroe, aka Storm. Now, Storm is unique in a few ways. She's one of the first heroes that will be able to reliably land stuns once her passive is leveled up. More on that later. And many of Storm's abilities are going to grow stronger if they're not used right away, but rather on the next turn after they're drawn. Hence the name of a new mechanic in Midnight Suns for Storm called Next Turn. I know, it's obvious, but it works. You're going to see this often. If kept in the hand for a full turn, cards marked with the keyword next turn are going to gain powerful new effects. Now, I can hear your inner thoughts already. Well, that's going to clog up my hand. Yeah, exactly. You're actually going to want that, though, and I'm going to be demonstrating some specific cards in her kit that can leverage an overflow of Storm cards in your hand. Now, let's start with one of her rare attack cards called Arc. On the surface, it's a Chain 1 card. Not super glamorous, but here's where next turn makes things really interesting. You hold that card in your hand for one turn before playing it, and you gain an additional 2 chain attacks. On upgrade, that chain attack goes to 3. So with the smallest amount of patience, you're getting a chain 4 attack card. You bring her with some allies who grant damage boosts, and you're going to be laughing all the way back to the Abbey. Speaking of the Abbey, Storm brings a unique Abbey upgrade called the Enhanced Threat Room, where you're going to be able to choose the number of heroes to bring, the difficulty, the enemy type, the mission level, and even any villain that you may want to practice against. Between bouts, I'd encourage you to go level up her passive as quickly as possible, because at level 1, she gains the Rising Storm passive, and that's going to grant her attacks and heroics a 10% chance to stun enemies. But at level 2, things become kind of wild. That stun chance is going to increase by 5% for each Storm card that's in your hand. And I want you to keep thinking about this for the rest of the showcase, because we're loading up your hand with Storm cards. And remind yourself of that Arc card earlier where she's hitting 4 targets. You can see where we're going with this. There will be stuns. It's really hard for me to choose which of Storm's cards I want to highlight here because she has so many strong ones to choose from. But we're going to look at what I'm saying is a borderline OP skill card. It's her rare Storm Shield ability. Storm Shield is going to apply 2 resist to all allies. And that's already incredible. But bending the rules slightly of her next turn mechanic, Storm Shield's going to grant resist to Storm for each turn that it's in your hand. That's crazy. You know how strong resist is? Yeah, you do, because you've been playing the game. You know how strong it is. What's even crazier is that this card can be upgraded to grant a counter to your allies as well. So on playing it, you get 2 resist, 1 counter for your allies. And if it's not played, Storm just keeps stacking resist. Have fun with this one. Play it a lot before it gets nerfed. Because it could. It's really, really insane. Now, Storm does have 3 heroic abilities in her kit. But we're going to talk about another skill here because I want you to be considering some combo implications. Her epic skill card is called Goddess's Blessing. And what a blessing it is. So you've drawn a bunch of Storm cards, but you're impatient. And you want to activate next turn right now. Okay, heard. Goddess's Blessing draws 1 Storm card, then activates the next turn mechanic on all Storm cards in your hand. I know this generation is all about instant gratification, so Storm's into it. She's got you covered. On upgrade, you draw 2 Storm cards before activating next turn, and you've got even more power in your hand. You see where this is all going? Last up, you guessed it, Storm's legendary Midnight Suns heroic ability. This is only costing you 3 heroism. Hellstorm is what it's called, and it's going to have Storm attack a single target with her offense times 1.5 for each Storm card in your hand. But that's not all, folks, no. The next turn ability on this card grants a card draw of 2 Storm cards, 3 if it's upgraded. And as you can guess, Hellstorm pairs very nicely with Goddess's Blessing to draw a bunch of Storm cards. You play Hellstorm for a massive damage boost, and many of the cards that are left in your hand have next turn triggered already. That's insane. And that's Storm, everybody. Not all of Storm. That's a very healthy part of Storm's kit. And that's the last superhero showcase for the announced Midnight Suns heroes. I gotta say, it's been an absolute pleasure working with Marvel and 2K on these, but it's been even more of a pleasure just to see the response from thousands of you guys as you continue to enjoy Marvel's Midnight Suns. And you've been rallying around these showcases for the past several months, so thank you for that. My name again is Christopher Odd. Maybe this is the last time you hear from me, but maybe not. Thanks to everyone who's been watching this series, and we'll see ya when we see ya.